You don't mind helping out, right? My parents demanded after leaving their assets to my brother. I slammed the door in their faces. Next day I even took it further. I'm Jake Harper, 28, living in Tampa, Florida, grinding away at a tech support job. I found out I was nothing more than a walking retirement plan on a muggy Thursday afternoon. Funny how life-shattering moments happen on the most ordinary days. Like when you're just trying to get through a shift and shoot hoops with the guys later. I wasn't looking for trouble, just helping my dad scan some financial documents at their house in Sarasota, an hour down I-75 from my cramped apartment, something I'd done 100 times before. Usually while juggling calls from work about some boomer's Wi-Fi, my fingers moved across the keyboard, the familiar click of the scanner providing a rhythm to my work, droning alongside the hum of my life. Then I saw it. A folder labeled Last Will and Testament. Curiosity got the better of me. I mean, who wouldn't peek? I clicked inside, my stomach dropped, like I'd just missed a game-winning shot. The room tilted, everything, the house, the savings, the $12 million SpaceX trust fund Dad bragged about, was going to my brother Ethan Harper, the golden child, 32, jobless, still crashing at their place, the one who could do no wrong. The only mention of me, a single generic line about loving both sons equally. Years of sacrifices, thousands of dollars spent helping them out of tight spots. Weekends I'd skipped pickup games to fix their stuff, and in the end they had planned for a future where I didn't exist. Like I was just the tech guy on call. My hands trembled, blood rushed to my ears, like the roar of a crowd after a buzzer beater. I carefully placed the document back, exactly as I'd found it. Dad, Mike Harper, called from the kitchen. Hey Jake, want a Coke? I managed to say yes. My voice sounded strange. Hello, like I'd just taken a call from a ghost. How do you sit across from people who just erased you, especially when you've been busting your ass to keep their world spinning? I'd always been the responsible one, the guy who paid the bills when they forgot, fixed their AC when it crapped out, made sure my parents, Carol and Mike Harper, retired SpaceX engineers, were taken care of. Meanwhile, Ethan coasted through life, 32 and still mooching, racking up debts they'd wipe clean with that trust fund cash. When Ethan racked up $20,000 in credit card debt from finding himself in Europe, some artsy trip he posted about on Instagram, they emptied their savings to cover it, didn't even blink. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs to pay for college, coding websites at night and schlepping boxes at a warehouse by day, crashed his old Jeep. They bought him a new Tesla Model X, not just any car, an 80 grand electric beast that screamed privilege. When I got my first car at 16, it was a 15-year-old Honda I paid for myself by working weekends at a Best Buy Geek Squad gig. Couldn't hold a job, not his fault. The bosses didn't get his vibe, he'd say. The work was beneath him, his creative spirit too big for a 9-to-5. Hell, I once overheard Mom Carol tell her book club he was destined for greatness. So they subsidized his apartment while he pursued his passions, which mostly meant playing Call of Duty and chasing a new Tinder date every month. I never expected gratitude. I mean, I wasn't out here begging for a pat on the back, but I also never expected this complete erasure, like I'd been benched from the family roster. My relationship with my parents was transactional. They'd never admit it, of course. They never outright asked for money. No, that would mean owning up to leaning on me. Instead, they just expected me to handle things. Expected me to be the adult while they babied my 32-year-old brother like he was still picking out prom dates. My mom would drop hints about the mortgage being tight this month. Usually while I was fixing their printer, my dad would mention the property taxes coming due, with a significant look in my direction, like I'd magically pull cash from my tech support paycheck. They'd marvel at how successful I'd become, how lucky they were to have such a responsible son, always with that proud little nod I used to soak up. But that same responsibility they praised was really just a tool they used, like a free IT subscription. When I earned a promotion, they didn't ask, "Are you proud?" But does this mean more OT cash? When I bought a new truck, a sensible F-150 I'd saved up for over 2 years, my dad asked if I was still able to help with their roof repairs, like my paycheck came with a family tax. All while Ethan remained the favorite, the cherished one, the one getting everything they had, including that trust fund they'd built from SpaceX stock. I drove home in a daze, roads blurring together under the Florida sun, my knuckles white against the steering wheel, thinking about the pickup game I'd missed tonight. At first I wanted to rage, to scream, to call them out in some big blowout at my mom and my dad's fancy Sarasota dining table, but then I thought, why give them the satisfaction of a fight they'd just twist to make me the bad guy? Instead, I played it cool, like I was troubleshooting a client's router after a long shift. I didn't bring up the will, not yet, not while I was still processing it. But the next day, I quietly cancelled every automatic payment while sipping my morning Red Bull in my Tampa apartment. The mortgage I helped mom and dad with, gone with one click on my banking app, the utilities I paid, turned off like a bad connection, the credit card I co-signed for them, shut down faster than Ethan's last startup idea that went nowhere. Then I waited, kicking back with my work laptop, fielding dumb calls about password resets. 2 weeks later, the first text arrived. Hey bud, the property taxes are due from my dad. Not even a how are you, not a fake apology, straight to the money, like I'm their personal ATM. I typed back that Ethan should handle it, since the house would be his anyway, and grinned at my screen imagining their faces. My finger hovered over the send button, my heart thumped against my ribs, like I was about to hit submit on a big project at work. I took a deep breath and pressed it, feeling a rush like sinking a three-pointer at the buzzer. That's when the panic set in. They weren't used to me saying no, not after years of being their go-to-fix-it guy. My mom called instantly, her number flashing like a server crash alert on my phone. I let it go to voicemail, kept sipping my coffee. Her message was predictably dramatic. Please don't be like this, Jake, we need to talk. Oh, now they wanted to talk, now that they couldn't pay their own damn bills and the AC was off in that sticky Sarasota heat. I waited an hour before replying with a text, saying there was nothing to talk about. They'd made their choice, and now they could live with it. No more free tech support from me. Radio silence, until Ethan chimed in. Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal, just help them out like you always do. Like it was my job to keep his cushy life running. I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in my empty apartment, louder than the pickup game I'd missed last night. Not a big deal, you mean the $12 million you're inheriting from that SpaceX trust fund? Why don't you use it? Maybe sell that Tesla Model X parked in their driveway. His response was immediate. You know I don't have that kind of cash right now. Like he hadn't just posted a selfie at some craft brewery last weekend. Oh, now money was a problem. Poor Ethan, stuck with his trust fund dreams and a bar tab. I fired back. Guess you better figure it out then, little bro, and tossed my phone on the couch. The cascade of calls began. My mom, my dad, and my brother, even my Aunt Karen texting me some guilt trip about family unity like she'd ever chipped in. I blocked them all, muted my phone and went back to debugging a client's printer issue. I could have left it there, could have just walked away and let them stew in their Sarasota McMansion, but no, that wasn't enough. Not after a decade of being their unpaid IT guy and errand boy. I wanted them to feel it, to understand what it was like to be used. Like I'd been their on-call lifeline while Ethan played Xbox, so I got creative. Time to reboot their whole crazy system. First, the house insurance. I'd been handling my mom, my dad homeowner's insurance for years. Since I was dumb enough to get on the policy after college, I downgraded it to the bare minimum, clicked through the options like it was a game, smirking at my desk. 2 weeks later, a pipe burst in their bathroom, cost them thousands in repairs, according to Mike's frantic texts begging me to call the plumber. I sipped my coffee, scrolled through his messages while on a break from fixing some lady's Outlook at work. Next, the car. I had co-signed on Ethan's Tesla Model X when his credit was shot from unpaid bar tabs and music gear he never used. I quietly refinanced it in Ethan's name alone, at triple the interest rate, because why should I keep footing his bills? Guess who suddenly had car payments he couldn't afford? That's right, Ethan. His Instagram posts about hard times and anyone hiring popped up like clockwork. Gave me a satisfaction I wasn't proud of, but damn, it felt good, like nailing a fadeaway jumper. I didn't stop there. Kept the ball rolling, ready to sink another shot. The final blow, the HOA complaint. Carol and Mike had no idea their fancy Sarasota neighborhood had strict HOA rules. They'd never bothered to read the fine print, too busy praising Ethan's potential at family dinners, so I anonymously reported them for every violation in the book. The lawn too high, the fence not up to code, the paint slightly faded, all stuff I'd warned them about before. Within a month, they were hit with over $5,000 in fines. Texts piling up like spam calls on my work line, and me, I slept like a baby, dreaming of pickup games where I wasn't the one stuck on the bench, wondering why I'd ever let them run my life. My coworker Mia noticed the change in me during lunch one day, over greasy burgers at Five Guys after a long shift. She commented that I seemed different, lighter somehow, like I wasn't hauling a server rack on my back anymore. I shrugged, just unburdened. Mia didn't know the whole story, no one at the Tampa office did, but she was right, I did feel lighter. Like I'd shed years of expectations and obligation that had kept me from pickup games with the crew. It was 3 months before they showed up at my apartment. Carol, Mike, Ethan, standing outside my Tampa doorstep, begging like they'd lost Wi-Fi in a hurricane. I opened the door, leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, still in my wrinkled work polo from a 10-hour shift. Jake, please, we need help, Carol said. her mascara smudged from crying, looking like she hadn't slept. "No, you need to leave," Carol gasped. "You're really going to let us lose everything over this?" I smirked. "Oh, you mean everything you left to Ethan?"
I smirked. "Oh, you mean everything you left to Ethan?"
"Yeah, he's got it covered. Maybe sell that Tesla Model X." Ethan, desperate, finally snapped. "Dude, you're being an asshole. You always helped before. Why are you acting like this now?" His voice cracking like a bad headset mic. I tilted my head, because before I thought I was part of this family. Turns out I was just your piggy bank, and now I'm closed for business, bro. Silence fell between us, heavy and thick, like a dropped call in the middle of a client rant. Then Mike spoke, angry, condescending. "We raised you, we fed you, we gave you everything." I let out a sharp laugh. "Oh, you mean the bare minimum, the thing every parent has to do or they get a visit from CPS. Yeah, thanks for that, Mike." Then I slammed the door in their faces. Their muffled voices continued outside, pleading, angry, confused. Like a bad conference call I couldn't mute, I poured myself a whiskey, neat 2 fingers. Kicked back on my couch, feet up after a day of fixing printers. I didn't feel guilty, not one bit, not after years of being their tech support lifeline. I had been used my entire life, and now they were finally feeling what it was like to be discarded, like an old router they'd upgraded. For the first time in my life, I felt truly free, like I'd finally logged off their network. But freedom, I was learning, can be lonely, especially when your buddies keep texting about the Saturday game you've been dodging. I threw myself into work, earned a promotion to senior tech support, more hours, better pay, started dating again, Mia from accounting. We had dinner every Thursday at this hole-in-the-wall taco joint near the office. It was nice, normal, like rebooting my own life after a crash. Mia asked about my holiday plans one night. As we lay in bed after a late shift, her head on my chest. My heart skipped at the mention of family gatherings. Thanksgiving was creeping up. I told her I wouldn't be seeing my family. No turkey with the Hoppers this year. She asked why not, genuinely curious, tracing circles on my arm. I didn't want to tell her, but the words spilled out anyway. The will, the betrayal, my revenge. Mia listened, her brown eyes widened, but she didn't interrupt, just nodded like she'd heard crazier tech support tickets. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "That's intense, Jake," she finally said. "But I don't think you're as okay with it as you claim to be." I pulled away, defensive. "What's that supposed to mean, Mia?" She sat up, wrapped the sheet around herself. She pointed out how I checked their social media every day, like I was monitoring a server, how I drove by their Sarasota house when we were down there for a work training last month. I was still invested, still pinging their network for a response. My face heated. I denied it. "I'm over it, Mia." But she was right, I was still obsessed, still refreshing Ethan's Instagram for signs they were suffering, like a tech waiting for a system failure. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd cut them off to be free, but I wasn't free. I was still tethered to them through my anger. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced. What was I doing? What was the end game here? I wanted them to feel pain, to understand what they'd done, but at what cost? My own peace, my Saturday hoops with the guys. The next morning, I called my therapist, made an emergency appointment, skipping my usual coffee run. She listened as I explained everything, the will, the revenge, the emptiness that followed, how I'd even bailed on my pickup crew lately. She nodded thoughtfully. "You're carrying a lot, Jake. It's not just about the will, it's about years of feeling unvalued." I nodded, throat tight, like I'd been holding a reboot command too long. "The question is, what do you want now? To punish them forever, or to heal yourself?" I didn't have an answer, not yet, just stared at her framed degrees. That weekend, I drove to my parents' house, parked across the street in my F-150, just sat there. The yard was overgrown, the paint peeling. Evidence of my revenge in plain sight, like a crashed system I'd refused to patch. A curtain moved, Carol's face appeared in the window, our eyes met, she disappeared. A moment later, the front door opened, my hands gripped the steering wheel, fight or flight instinct kicking in. But I didn't drive away, not this time, not after missing last week's game. I got out of the car. Carol looked smaller somehow, her shoulders hunched, her hair, usually perfectly styled, hung limp around her face, like she'd given up on the blow-dryer. She spoke first, her voice barely audible over the rustle of dead leaves in the humid breeze. She told me they'd lost the house. The bank was giving them until Christmas to move out. I felt a flicker of satisfaction, then guilt, like missing a free throw in crunch time. She continued. Ethan had moved in with his girlfriend and was working at a hardware store now, actually clocking hours selling screws. I raised an eyebrow, surprised at the mention of Ethan working. A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Yeah, it's a miracle, right? Silence stretched between us, thick as the Florida air after a storm. Why did you do it? I finally asked, the question that had burned in me for months. The will, why leave everything to Ethan? Her face crumpled. Oh Jake, we thought you had everything figured out, you've always been so capable, so strong, we thought Ethan needed it more. A bitter laugh escaped me. So I was punished for being responsible, for not needing a babysitter? She shook her head. We didn't see it that way, we thought you'd be fine. Of course they didn't. Same old excuse, like a canned response from a help desk. More silence. She told me Mike was inside, that he missed me, though he wouldn't admit it. I doubted that, he'd never been the feelings type, but I was here, might as well see this through, get it over with like closing a ticket. The house smelled the same, like old coffee and my mom's lavender candles. The furniture was rearranged, probably sold some pieces to make ends meet after I cut the cord. Mike sat in his recliner, thinner than I remembered, grayer, like he'd aged a decade since I last saw him. He looked up as I entered, his eyes widened, he said my name, Jake. His voice rough with emotion, cracking like an old modem. I nodded in acknowledgement, kept my distance, hands in my pockets. He asked if I was there to gloat, but there was no heat in his words, just resignation, like a man who'd lost a bet. I shook my head no. When he asked why I had come, I could only shrug. I don't know, Mike. He nodded, like that made perfect sense. Then he apologized, about the will, about everything. We screwed up, son. It wasn't enough, not nearly enough, to erase years of feeling second best, like the backup player, but it was something, a crack in the firewall. I sat on the couch, we talked, really talked, for the first time in maybe ever. They'd changed the will, he told me. Not that it mattered much now. Most of the $12 million trust was gone, eaten up by fines and bills. Ethan was changing too, they said, working steadily, paying his own rent. Sometimes rock bottom is what people need, Mike said, eyes on the floor, hands fidgeting. I didn't move back in, didn't start paying their bills again, didn't pretend everything was fixed, but I did help them find an affordable apartment, did help them sell what they could to cover moving costs, like setting up a new network after a crash. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, maybe not ever completely, but it was a step towards something else, something that wasn't purely transactional. Like I wasn't just their on-call IT anymore. Mia was surprised when I told her, over tacos that Thursday, salsa dripping on the table. She said she'd have let them rot. Screw 'em, Jake, they don't deserve you. But I wasn't better than her, just tired of letting anger drive me, like a CPU stuck on overheat, frying itself out. That Christmas, I didn't go to their new apartment, but I did send a card, a simple one I grabbed at the gas station. Inside, I wrote a brief note saying I was still figuring things out, but I was trying. Like a slow system update after a patch. My phone buzzed with a text on Christmas morning. My parents responded, that they were trying too, not a request for money, not a guilt trip, just an acknowledgement like a ping back. It was a start, small but real. They say living well is the best revenge. I'm not sold, but breaking free from toxic patterns beats any payback I'd cooked up. Like uninstalling a crashing app, I'm still figuring out forgiveness. Still setting boundaries, still redefining family, like tweaking a shaky network. I'm not their retirement plan anymore. I'm Jake Harper, and I call the shots now, not my parents. New year hit with surprises, like a rare smooth patch at work. Ethan Harper called, wanted coffee at a dive off I-75. I met him, skeptical but curious. He ditched the smug vibe, wore a flannel, showed up on time. First, he apologized, for mooching, for slacking. Said losing the trust fund woke him up. He's working at Home Depot now, pays his bills, learning carpentry at night. Dad told me they had to save me 'cause you didn't need it, he said, voice low. It summed up our family's mess, like a glitch report. They screwed me up, screwed you worse, he admitted. I didn't forgive right away, but agreed to talk again. Maybe build something real, not just obligation. My parents, new place is tiny, no more Sarasota mansion. They're lighter now, mom paints again, dad's in a sci-fi book club, no handouts asked. Not even for Wi-Fi setup. Mia moved in. March boxes everywhere. You're calmer, she said over balcony beers, sun dipping low. Getting there, I replied. She grinned. You learned your worth. Not their IT guy anymore. She's right. Betrayal showed me I'm more than a fix. Anger's faded, self-respect's in, like a hardware upgrade. Mia and I talk marriage, a family built on respect, maybe with a hoop out back. I lost them to find me. Ironic, huh? Life's brutal lessons, like coding through crashes, build you tougher. Their old house? New owners, blue paint, flowers. I felt zilch, progress. Ethan steady. Asked about 401ks over my kitchen table. We're brothers now, no rivalry. just hoops teammates. I wish mom and dad saw me sooner, not just the responsible one, but I'm thankful for who I am now, like finding bandwidth. My therapist calls it acceptance, not approval. I'm on it. To anyone used up, your values not your output, walking away proves it, like logging off. I set boundaries late, but it's enough. Like a clean system, I help mom and dad sometimes. My choice, not their demand.